We are all familiar with UFOs, unidentified flying objects. But there is another phenomenon just as intriguing: unidentified submersible objects. These are UFOs that appear to be able to travel not only in our skies, but in our waters as well. It is a growing phenomenon with no explanation so far. Are they from outer space, another dimension, or a civilization living among us now, hidden from us under the canopy of our own oceans? Though USO sightings have recently reached the mainstream media, they are nothing new. Recorded modern sightings go back to World War II and ancient sightings even further. A USO, or unidentified submersible object, is an object that can operate not only within our skies, but within our oceans, seas, and even lakes of our world. These objects are often associated with UFO sightings, or they are UFOs that can enter the water, travel submerged, and then fly out of the water and back into the skies. A craft with such capabilities has never been invented by anyone or nation on Earth. Of course, we have submarines, but they cannot fly, and we have flying craft, but they cannot submerge. This characteristic alone makes USOs very intriguing. A craft that can fly in our skies with no discernible propulsion system, then enter the water and maneuver at a high speed and with little or no fluid resistance would make a formidable weapons platform. And so the US military is very interested in them. Multiple questions arise with these objects. What are they? Where do they come from? Who is operating them? And can they be captured or destroyed? The latter question may seem moot. No USO so far has posed a threat to any of our underwater craft. But that doesn't mean they can't become a threat, or if they are observing our naval operations, then the U.S. Navy would like to be able to remove them from any military theater they may be working in. If we address the first question, what are they? There are very few explanations. The quick answer is they are some kind of drone operated by some nation-state here on Earth. This is not likely because most drones used by all militaries are propeller-driven. They fly like helicopters or airplanes and cannot enter the water and operate the same way. Or they have jet propulsion and fly like any conventional jet in the air, and they also cannot enter the water. In fact, the reported maneuvering capabilities of these USO craft defy any known system of propulsion we humans have invented so far. They have no exhaust, move without making any sound, make quick course changes that a man could not endure, and seemingly can move at speeds beyond our aircraft and submarines, both in the air and underwater. A craft with these abilities could easily operate within the vacuum of space as well. The truth is, we have no idea what they are, and that is a concern for our government and military. These craft operate with impunity within our airspace as well as our oceans, seas, and waterways. Because of this, our Navy and other military agencies have taken a great interest in them. The question we face is simple. If we didn't build them, then who did? First, let's answer one common theory, that they are optical illusions or some kind of natural illusionary phenomena. This is not the case. They have been tracked on radar and sonar. Only actual physical objects will reflect these scanning devices. They have been photographed in detail and they interact with the environment they are moving in, such as the air and water. If they enter the water, there's a splash. If they move through a cloud, they displace the gas. If they land, they leave landing marks. They are real physical objects of substance and mass. So if we didn't build them, who did? Unfortunately, we can't answer the question definitively. However, we can rule out the usual suspects. Intelligence agencies worldwide will tell you that no nation on the earth has invented or is testing any craft with the capabilities of USOs. None, not one. As far as we know, no inventor or person has built a craft, tested a craft, or is currently seeking a patent on any craft that has the abilities of USOs. Plus, the facilities whereby any such craft could be constructed, tested, and launched from would easily be detected by our intelligence agencies. It would have to be a very well-kept secret, and secrets are rarely well-kept. Someone, somewhere would have talked about it. This brings us back to the original question. If we didn't build them, who did? The answer is simple and obvious. These craft belong to someone else. That simple question, someone else, has been the biggest question mankind has faced since the dawn of time. Are we alone? It would appear we are not. Throughout the 1980s and 90s, there were rumors that America had stealth aircraft. It was a military secret and was denied at all levels of the government. But when 9/11 and the war with Iraq occurred, the F-115 was revealed. We used them. We didn't sit on them and continue to deny their existence. We touted and even boasted about our stealth capabilities. They were deployed in Iraq, Afghanistan, and other theaters of operation. Other militaries knew we had them, but the public only became aware when we used them openly. If any government had craft with the capabilities of UFOs and USOs, they would use them too. They would have appeared in operation somewhere in the world and even boasted by the nation who constructed them. Secret aircraft only exist until they can be put into a military theater. After that, they are well known. After years of observation and detection of UFOs and USOs, with countless opportunities to use them in a war situation, no nation has come forward to claim or boast about having this kind of capability. Not one. In fact, foreign militaries are as baffled at these craft as we are. America is not the only nation to have tangled with USOs and reported them. As recent as 2009, the Russian Navy declassified its records of Cold War UFO sightings. Their research shows about 50% of UFO encounters are connected with oceans, 15% more with lakes. So UFOs tend to stick to the water, one Russian officer explained. One Russian military official said, on several occasions the instruments gave reading of material objects moving at incredible speed. A sub-commander recalled, calculations showed speeds of about 230 knots. Speeding so fast is a challenge even on the surface, but water resistance is much higher. It was like the objects defied the laws of physics. There's only one explanation. The creatures who built them far surpass us in development. In one incident in 1982, 3 Navy diver trainers reportedly died pursuing what survivors described as a group of humanoid creatures dressed in silvery suits in Pascagoula, the world's deepest lake. Of course, the United States Navy has tangled with USOs on many occasions. Leaked military radar readings seen for the first time in 2021 backed up reports of unidentified flying objects harassing a Navy ship off the coast of California, as the Pentagon was preparing to tell Congress what they know about UFO sightings. The sounds of U.S. Navy sailors reacting to a radar screen tracking UFOs flying around their ship in July 2019 can be heard as the radar lights up with 9 different objects that then disappear into the night off the coast of San Diego. The radar readings followed leaked video released by documentary filmmaker Jeremy Corbell that shows objects captured on night vision and infrared video that appear to be swarming around warships before disappearing. Corbell said the disappearing objects could have gone above or below radar range. If they were moving below the radar, it would mean that they went into the water. Corbell also released a video earlier showing a flying sphere dropping into the ocean. A Pentagon spokesman confirmed to NBC News the radar videos were taken by Navy personnel, but wouldn't comment about how they were released. The Pentagon has declassified the footage. They want to be ahead of it, and they are out of options, Corbell said. There is a lot of pressure by the global public and the American public for answers. Then, in a stunning interview, former President Barack Obama added to the intrigue when he told late-night host James Corden that he inquired about UFOs during his tenure. There's footage and records of objects in the skies that we don't know exactly what they are, Obama said. We can't explain how they moved their trajectory. They did not have an easily explainable path. 2 former Navy pilots also spoke on 60 Minutes that month about seeing objects that appeared to be flying at supersonic speeds without breaking the sound barrier. While UFOs have become synonymous with aliens in pop culture, in the military context, it just means they cannot be identified as any type of aircraft. There has been debate over whether they could be drones from Russia and China, which have all invested heavily in advanced drone technology. There's enough obvious evidence here that we need to take this seriously, not downplay it, and try to gather as much information as we can to figure out what it is these pilots are seeing and what does it mean, said Democratic Senator Martin Heinrich of New Mexico. But USOs are not new. There are countless reports dating back to antiquity and within modern times of submerged objects. On the 19th of April, 1957, crew members aboard a Japanese fishing boat spotted two metallic silvery objects descending from the sky into the sea. The objects, estimated to be 10 meters long, were without wings of any kind. As they hit the water, they created a violent turbulence. This is an incident that reportedly took place off the coast of Puerto Rico in 1963 during an anti-submarine warfare exercise from the USS Wasp. The maneuvers were conducted off Puerto Rico in the Atlantic, some 500 miles southeast of the continental United States. All reports seem to agree that there were 5 small naval vessels concerned. But in more than one account, the aircraft carrier Wasp is stated to have been the command ship. A sonar operator on one of the destroyers reported to his bridge that one of the submarines had broken formation and gone off in what appeared to be pursuit of some unknown object. The operator did not, of course, know if this was a plant, since the maneuvers were engaged in exercises designed to train personnel in detection of enemy craft. However, this operator's report was not all within the limits of any such simulation. The problem was the object was traveling at over 150 knots. No less than 13 craft, including anti-submarine warfare patrol aircraft, tracked the high-speed unknown object. Furthermore, technicians kept track of this object for 4 days and that it maneuvered roundabout and to depths of 27,000 feet. One report logged in April 2019 states that an object resembling a small white boat flew up out of the water near Imperial Beach, California at about 500 feet. The object promptly flew south at a very high rate of speed. Japan has a famous encounter that occurred in the 1800s. Urubon was an unknown object that allegedly washed ashore in 1803 in Hitachi province on the eastern coast of Japan. According to legend, an attractive young woman aged 18 to 20 years old arrived on a local beach aboard a hollow ship in February of 1803. Fishermen brought her inland to investigate further, but the woman was unable to communicate in Japanese. She was very different from anyone else there. The fishermen then returned her and her vessel to the sea, where it drifted away. UFOologists have claimed that the story represents evidence of a close encounter with an extraterrestrial life. According to the report, on February 22, 1803, local fishers in the Hitachi province saw an ominous ship drifting in the waters. Curious, they towed the vessel back to land, discovering that it was 10 feet high and 17 feet wide. Its upper part appeared to be made of red-coated rosewood, while the lower part was covered with brazen plates, obviously to protect it against the sharp-edged rocks. The upper part had several windows made of glass or crystal, covered with bars and clogged with some kind of tree resin. The shape of the hollow boat resembled a wooden rice pit. The windows were completely transparent, and the baffled fishermen looked inside. The inner side of the USO-BONE was decorated with texts written in an unknown language. The fishermen found items inside such as 2 bed sheets, a bottle filled with water, some cake, and kneaded meat. Then the fishermen saw a beautiful young woman, possibly 18 or 20 years old. Her body was said to be about 4 feet tall. The woman had red hair and eyebrows, the hair elongated by artificial white extensions. The extensions could have been made of white fur or thin white powdered textile streaks. This hairstyle cannot be found in any literature. The skin of the lady was a very pale pink color. She wore precious, long, and smooth clothes of unknown fabrics. The woman began speaking, but no one understood her. She didn't seem to understand the fishermen either, so no one could ask her about her origin. Although the mysterious woman appeared friendly and courteous, she acted oddly, for she always clutched a rectangular box made of a pale material and around 24 inches in size. The woman didn't allow anyone to touch the box, no matter how kindly or pressingly the witnesses asked. In UFOlogy, the legend of the USO-BONE has been described as an early case of a documented close encounter of the third kind, based on the similarities between the drawings of the vessel from the Edo period and 20th century description of flying saucers. Some UFOologists suggest the USO-BONE could have been an unidentified submarine object, USO. They noted the mysterious symbols were reportedly found on the object that regularly appear as addenda within the depictions. They are suggested by some to be similar to the symbols reported at the Rendlesham Forest incident in England, which was experienced by the United States Air Force. The same writing is also found in caves. Caves also show many drawings of odd figures along the symbols. UFO proponents further point to the ominous box held by the woman as well as her physical appearance and unusual dress as evidence of an extraterrestrial encounter. Researchers of unidentified flying objects believe the black and white images, supposedly taken from the USS Trepang SSN 674 submarine in March 1971, are evidence of secret U.S. aircraft tests or alien life forms looking to carry out an early form of fracking. Alex Mistrada, a paranormal investigator and author, investigated the images after they first appeared in a French paranormal magazine, Top Secret, following an alleged leak. He claimed insiders told him the pictures were taken from the USS submarine on its journey between Iceland and Norway's Jan Mayen Island in the Atlantic Ocean, with the admiral on board at the time said to be Dean Reynolds. Top Secret described an inscription on one of the pictures as stating, "Official photograph, not to be released, CT." Another read, "Unauthorized disclosure subject, SSN 674, criminal sanction." According to the U.S. Naval Archive, the USS Trepang was in the area at the time, and a Rear Admiral, Dean Reynolds Sackett Jr. from Beatrice, Nebraska, was its commanding officer from August 1970 to December 1973. Some researchers have claimed this proves the pictures are genuine, but others suggested the information is so readily available, it also could have aided a hoaxer. Others said that one of the claimed UFOs looked like the man-made Ariane 26, a U.S. experimental aircraft that was part airship and part conventional aircraft and powered by a piston engine, which was tested in 1971. Michael Waters said some UFOs can function through and underwater quite well. And Rob Whiteford added, "Makes sense. I can still put money on fracking connected to them." Nigel Watson, UK UFO investigator, said, "They are an odd selection of pictures that feature types of UFOs that have been regularly spotted by witnesses in all parts of the world. This batch of pictures backs up such claims, but I'm not sure about their authenticity. They have certainly got UFO researchers scratching their heads and wondering and speculating that UFOs have a base in the Arctic regions." A huge flying object was reportedly seen rising from the sea in the Gulf of Mexico and recorded by an anonymous source in 2017, according to an alien UFO hunter. It was in the Gulf of Mexico, located 80 miles southeast of New Orleans. This flying object was seen by an offshore supply vessel's crew member. The chief engineer of the OSV stated that the mysterious craft was 5 times larger than the vessel he was on. The object reportedly rose out of the sea to a height of 40 feet and then vanished. At close to 7 p.m. on March 21st, just before dusk, myself and 4 of the crew members aboard our vessel saw a craft that appeared to be 5 times our 240-foot vessel in length, the witness said. My line of sight was about 1/4 mile from our vessel. There was a rig behind the craft about a half a mile away. I used this to help gauge the size of the craft, he added. According to his statement, the underwater UFO was visible for just 40 seconds. The strange thing was that despite the craft rising out of the water, there was no sign of any water dripping off of it. The UFO vanished at a phenomenal pace at an angle of 30 degrees, the chief engineer revealed. There were more than 50 more people present on nearby vessels who might have also seen this mysterious flying object, the source stated. NUFORC requested any other witnesses to come forward and contact them. Such capabilities have our Navy intrigued, to say the least. Any craft with this ability would be a formidable weapon and would be essential to a surprise attack. Congress in 2021 required the Director of National Intelligence to summarize and report on the U.S. government's knowledge of unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAPs, better known to the public as unidentified flying objects, or UFOs. The effort included a Defense Department UAP task force established in the previous year. The public release of an unclassified version of the report amounts to a status report, not the final word, according to one official. Investigators found no evidence the sightings are linked to aliens. but can't deny a link either. Two officials briefed on the report say the U.S. government cannot give a definitive explanation of aerial phenomena spotted by military pilots. This includes USOs. The report also doesn't rule out that what pilots have seen may be new technologies developed by other countries. One of the officials said there is no indication the unexplained phenomena are from secret U.S. programs. This creates something of a quandary for military and public officials. They cannot link the phenomenon to aliens, but cannot deny it either. And they have no evidence that the phenomenon is from a U.S. secret program or foreign technology. Basically, this report brings us back to our original questions. Where are they from, and who is building them? Our original logical conclusion remains: if we didn't build them, then someone else did. You would think the Defense Department would reach this same simple conclusion. The Pentagon and Central Intelligence Agency have for decades locked into reports of aircraft or other objects in the sky flying at inexplicable speeds or trajectories. The U.S. government takes unidentified aerial phenomena seriously, given the potential national security risk or an adversary flying novel technology over a Navy base or another sensitive site, or the prospect of a Russian or Chinese development exceeding current U.S. capabilities. This also is seen by the U.S. military as a security and safety issue, given that in many cases, the pilots who reported seeing unexplained aerial phenomena were conducting combat training flights. This report did do one important thing, which is it opened the door to further investigations. The subject is now out of the denial bag and in the open. Congress, the Pentagon, and the public now take the issue seriously. In fact, the Defense Department has said it is not game over. There will be continued investigations of all reports that come in from military personnel. Perhaps we are seeing a new beginning of openness toward the phenomenon, and at some time when everyone is comfortable with it, a true disclosure will be forthcoming. One theory that has persisted in the modern age of UFO study and their relationship to water is that there may be underwater USO bases located in various places around the world. The theory has always been that aliens from outer space have built and maintained these hidden bases in order to monitor us. But recently, a new theory has emerged with one central question. What if the USOs often seen emerging from and entering into the Earth's oceans are not from alien space at all? What if they are actually from our oceans? Could a parallel civilization of intelligent beings, not from space, but from within our planet, be using our oceans and seas to enter and return to their civilization, either on the ocean bottom or even within our Earth? There is some evidence for this. UFOs have been seen many times in and around volcanoes and even entering them. Stories of underground bases have persisted for decades. And given there are depths of our oceans that we have never seen and cannot reach, could hide many such entrances to a world within our Earth. The hollow Earth theory can be traced back to ancient times. The concept of a subterranean land inside the Earth appeared in mythology, folklore, and legends. The idea of subterranean realms seemed arguable and became intertwined with the concept of places of origin or afterlife, such as the Greek underworld, Nordic tradition, the Christian hell, and the Jewish Sheol. The idea of the subterranean realm is also mentioned in the Tibetan Buddhist belief. According to one story from the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, there is an ancient city called Shambhala, which is located inside the earth. A book by Dr. Raymond Bernard, which appeared in 1964, The Hollow Earth, exemplifies the idea of UFOs coming from inside the earth, and adds the idea that the Ring Nebula provides the existence of hollow worlds, as well as speculation on the fate of Atlantis and the origin of flying saucers. Hollow Earth proponents have claimed a number of different locations for the entrances which lead inside the Earth, other than the North and South Poles. Unidentified structures under the ocean have been found and documented, though we have no idea if they are ancient or modern, nor if they are remnants of our ancient times or some other civilization. It's interesting to entertain these ideas, but theories and fantasies do not get us closer to the truth of USOs. Perhaps the only way we will ever truly know what they are and where they come from would be to shoot one down or torpedo one in the oceans. For 100 years, strange activity has been occurring off the Southern California coast. Mile for mile, this area is one of the top producers of USOs in the world. The waters around Catalina have long been a hotbed of UFO reports, making it a central location for the study of UFO enthusiasts. Skeptics often chalk these accounts up to the large presence of military activity in the area, including some very high-tech action or just plain imagination. On July 8, 1947, the very same day that the Roswell's Daily Record was reporting the initial flying disc story, a remarkable incident reportedly occurred in the skies above Avalon. An article on the front page of the week's issue of the Catalina Islander details an alleged sighting by 3 visiting Army veterans of 6 flying discs traveling at high speed from the northeast and passing directly over Avalon before disappearing over East Peak. According to the story, the 6 discs appeared about 1 p.m. and flew in formation of 2 sets of 3 and were witnessed not only by the veterans, but by hundreds of others as well. Alvio Russo, one of the reported witnesses and an Army Air Corps veteran who had flown 35 bombing missions over Germany with the 8th Air Force, estimated the velocity of the discs at 850 miles an hour, according to the story. Bob Jung, listed as a former aerial photographer, agreed with this estimate and said they were flying roughly as fast as the U.S. Navy's Tiny Tim rocket, which he had photographed numerous times for the Navy. In the coming months, the sightings of discs around the nation waned, at least for the time being, and public interest in them faded as well. Even the Roswell incident was largely forgotten until 30 years later, when famed UFOologist Stanton Friedman began fielding what he claimed were eyewitness reports from civilian and military personnel of real flying saucer wreckage and alien bodies. No mention of the Catalina incident was ever made again in the Catalina Islander, nor apparently in the Los Angeles Examiner. A little more than 6 miles off the coast of Point Dume in Malibu, California, an unusual-looking structure sits on the seabed floor. Based on images obtained on Google Earth, the oval-shaped object has a huge flat top, and what appears to be pillars or columns that seem to reveal the entrance to a darker inner place. The anomaly is approximately 2,000 feet below the surface of the water, measuring nearly 3 miles wide. What exactly is this thing? According to the website of a California-based radio program, Fade to Black, this may be the holy grail of unidentified submerged objects that researchers have been looking for the last 40 years. Geologists believe it is nothing more than a natural shelf on the ocean floor. In the end, we're left with a variety of theories to explain the Malibu anomaly, aka Sycamore Node. Will the UFO alien underwater base proponents be eventually proven right, leaving geologists in the dust, scratching their heads and wondering how they got it wrong? Filmmaker and UFO enthusiast Jerry Corbell released footage that appears to show an unidentified flying object, or a UFO, disappearing into the water off California. The footage was captured by the U.S. Navy off the coast of San Diego in July 2019. It appears to show a dark spherical object as seen by an infrared camera flying over the ocean. Military personnel can be heard saying it splashed in the video just as the object appears to vanish into the water. The United States Department of Defense has confirmed that the video was recorded by military personnel and was reviewed by the Pentagon's Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force, a program established in 2020 to gain insight into the nature and origins of unidentified aerial phenomena. The UFO appeared to be transmedium capable, meaning it is capable of traveling through both air and water. It is noted in intelligence reports that the spherical craft could not be found upon entry into the water, that a submarine was used in the search and recovered nothing. The footage was recorded on July 15, 2019 by Navy personnel aboard the USS Omaha. During the summer of 2019, the Navy reported several sightings of unidentified aerial phenomena, the Pentagon's term for UFOs. The USS Omaha was one of several vessels that observed unexplained aerial phenomena close to the coast of California. This is one of the latest USO sightings, but USO reports go back decades. If some foreign power had developed this capability long ago, it would have already shown up in military campaigns. In the now famous 1973 UFO abduction of Charles Hickens and Calvin Parker on the banks of the Pascagoula River, new witnesses have come forward in recent years. Maria Blair was across the river while the abduction was happening. She and her husband observed the blue UFO while it was on the ground. She also observed what appeared to be an alien swimming along a pier on her side of the river. The being was described much like Calvin's description of the ones who took Charlie and him. Then, about a month later, on the night of November 6, 1973, just off the coast of Pascagoula, between the Ship Canal and Round Island, a group of local fishermen, including brothers Ramey and Raymond Ryan, their sons, and several others, went out fishing under a clear, moonless sky. While anchored in shallow water, Ramey Ryan spotted an unknown object in the water, which appeared to be about 5 feet in diameter and emitting an odd amber light. The fisherman tried to poke the object with an oar, but when he did, the light would dim and the object would move a few feet away and stop. At that point, the light would brighten again. Concerned, 2 of the fishermen went to the local Coast Guard station at 9:30 p.m. The Coast Guard later reported that the 2 men appeared sober and extremely concerned about the object. Boats and mates nations and crews were sent to investigate, arriving in just a few minutes. The Coast Guard personnel immediately located what they reported as a bright metallic object moving at 4 to 6 knots with an amber beam about 5 inches in diameter. They also observed, as the fishermen had, that the object went dark, changed course, and then re-illuminated itself. Both nations and crews stated they had never seen anything like it. Then the object vanished. Returning in the daylight, Coast Guard personnel were unable to find anything else unusual. Following up on the incident, the U.S. Navy, apparently concerned with the proximity of the Navy's nuclear shipbuilding activity in the area, dispatched Lieutenant Commander Craig Dorman, a Navy SEAL, and another officer from the Naval Research and Development Laboratory in Panama City, Florida, to investigate the incident. Based on their interviews of the civilian and military witnesses, the Navy concluded that at least 9 people saw an undetermined light source. The light source was inconsistent with known marine life or with any uncontrolled man-made object, and the object's presence seemed to influence the number of fish caught in the area. While the Pascagoula UFO abduction story received worldwide attention and has been the subject of numerous books and articles, the USO incident hardly made any waves, although a few regional newspapers reported the event. Unlike the UFO abduction incident, however, the Coast Guard and Navy appeared to pay close attention and conducted a serious investigation. The nature of the mysterious underwater object and the source of the light remain unexplained. For decades, the media and public have looked to the Air Force for an explanation of UFO and USO reports with little or no feedback. We have found, however, that it is the U.S. Navy that has continued to investigate and take the phenomena seriously, probably due to numerous USO sightings that have occurred by Navy personnel over the years. The Navy, like any other military organization, is compartmentalized, and therefore not all UFO and USO reports go to the same places. There is no central department that studies and examines USO reports, so many of these encounters are filed away in some department that may or may not even exist anymore. This is troubling because it makes it difficult to garner and look at all reports since the Navy has been in existence. There are probably countless sightings and incidents we may never know about. Add to this the secrecy all militaries have regarding anything they are tasked to study. These reports get filed away where few, if any, can see them. Recently, the Pentagon has begun to take UFO and USO encounters seriously, and they have been allowing some reports as well as video evidence to be published. Navy personnel, both active and retired, are now speaking out on the subject. President Obama has made public comments on the subject, as well as President Trump. The issue is now regarded as a bipartisan issue, with both sides of Congress taking an active interest in finding out what these objects are. After all, they are in our waters and skies and could interfere with our airspace and naval operations. One thing is very clear. UFOs appear to have a keen interest in water, as well as our military and nuclear facilities. Most UFO sightings occur near water or areas surrounded by water. This can raise the question that water could be an important part of their technology. Water may be a component to their propulsion or a way they recharge their craft. Cold fusion is a type of technology that uses water to generate energy. It's possible that whoever is operating these craft have discovered a way to make cold fusion work. So far, we haven't. Since our planet is 75% water, we would be a very interesting and necessary place to visit. Everything you need to power your craft is here in abundance. It would make sense that they would use our planet as a kind of gas station along the way. This may explain why UFOs and USOs are often sighted but don't remain long. We simply could be a pit stop along some spaceway to other destinations, a place to pop in, fuel up, and leave quickly and quietly. If this is the case, it would explain the countless sightings and encounters since recorded history, and the few times anyone has actually seen the aliens. The aliens may have little to no interest in the indigenous life forms here, choosing rather to just gas up and go on to their destination. And when we do encounter them, they seem oddly interested in us, but not to a point where they want to actually interact with us on any consistent level. Plus, since we have large bodies of water all over the planet, taking some energy from it may not be considered improper. After all, we have plenty. Water may recharge itself, so taking some would not be stealing from us. Of course, with our current political and social mindset, if we knew this is why they come here, we would probably charge them for it. Something else they may want to avoid. Each year there are hundreds of UFO sightings, many of which near or even in the water. UFOs and USOs do have water in common. Their craft appear to be designed to travel in space, the air, and water with ease. There is no way to know exactly who is operating these craft, short of an incident where they make themselves known to us on a global scale. Even if all the intelligence agencies worldwide released what they know from the study of these objects, we still would be no closer to actually interacting with them unless they choose to. Disclosure will likely not come from some government agency, but rather from the people using these craft on our planet. We will continue to study, report, and be fascinated by UFOs and USOs, and hope that one day they decide it's time to openly meet us. Until then, it's up to them.
Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Thank you.